Hello and welcome to our special program, To The Point. Today we have with us Union Minister for Environment, Forests and Climate Change, Mr. Prakash Javadekar. Sir, thank you so much for being with us on Rajya Sabha Television. There are several issues concerning your ministry as well, and since this is one ministry which has always been in talks, but then let's begin with a bit of a politics, this conversation. The recent session, that's the monsoon session, was completely washed out. There was a stalemate between the government and the opposition. Both sides were not willing to give in to each other's demands or requests or appeals. No legislative business could happen. There were almost no questions which could be answered, at least in the upper house. So, do you think as a minister in this government that your government could have had some other approach to try and sort out this matter much earlier than it was done in the last 2 days?
See, for successful democracy, you have to have a responsive government and responsible opposition. And here, government was all the way responsive, but opposition, particularly Congress, behaved irresponsibly. That's my clear charge and observation. Because what happened was, they announced before this session that this session will be washed out. This will be a tit for tat. One session, BJP didn't allow us to function. So, revenge, revenge, revenge. We won't allow this session to go on. So, the decision was made to disrupt the session by Congress before the beginning of the session. So, that decision, then they tried to find out some or the other excuse. So, बाकी तो बहाना था, उनका निर्णय पक्का था. और फर्क है. What was the difference is, when the last session in winter washed out when we were in opposition, was not that we decided to wash out the session, but on the first day we demanded only JPC. If they would have accepted JPC, which subsequently they accepted on the first day of the next session, if they would have accepted the JPC on the very first day, the session would have gone uninterrupted. What happened? Because that was just an inquiry. It was not an impossible demand. This time, Congress made an impossible demand. First resign, then discuss. This is undone. This is never. This is absurd demand. And therefore, that's a basic difference. We decided to ask for JPC. And Congress decided not to accept it. That's why that time also, Congress as a ruling party was responsible for washout of a session. And this time, as an opposition, they decided not to allow the session. And therefore, in both the cases, washout of two sessions, earlier and now, has happened because of Congress.
Sir, you yourself said that there was, this demand from the Congress, or rather this announcement from the Congress that they will not let the House run, was made much before the session began. So, in essentiality, this should have given more time to the government to try and find a middle path, to try and bring at least some smaller opposition parties on their side, to try and find some solution to the stalemate which the government was staring at.
We made every effort. You won't believe that on the very first day, when they moved a motion, Anand Sharma, in Rajya Sabha, that there should be discussion, we didn't stop. We immediately accepted it. They thought we won't accept. They asked for adjournment via suspension of all business and take up this immediately. And even chairman also accepted. So, then Congress found that, no, this is recoiling on us. And therefore, they said, no, now we are changing the goalpost. First resign, then discussion. This can't happen in democracy without any proof, without any substance, without any FIR, without any court stricture, without any CAG report, without anything on the ground or substantial. And subsequently, it proved that there was nothing on the ground. And still you say that you resign first. So that was unreasonable and therefore could not be accepted. So we said we are ready to discuss under any rule. Even in Parliament, Lok Sabha, Sushma ji was insisting right from day one that she is ready even for adjournment, censure.
Talking about Lok Sabha, Javadekar ji, and specifically about Speaker's decisions you just mentioned, one of the decisions which was taken by the Speaker of suspending 25 Congress MPs, as a parliamentarian, as a minister as well, but as a parliamentarian, don't you think that this was a little bit a harsh decision to take?
No, we saw earlier regime marshalling out 8 MPs of Samajwadi Party who were opposing the women's bill. So, and Congress jailed us, not only suspended us, they jailed hundreds of MPs during emergency days. So, and they suspended 56 MPs in one day, 63 MPs in one day. So they have broken all records. They suspended their own Andhra and Telangana MPs from the House, separately 8 and 6 in batches. So suspension is a discretion, and sometimes it may be a harsh decision, but it was necessary, otherwise decorum was at stake.
Okay, let's now move on to your ministry. Politics will obviously keep on continuing since this is a democracy, so obviously government will have its own view and the opposition will have its own view. Let's wait for the winter session to try and see as to whether this will there will be some solution to this or not.
I hope that before winter the good weather will prevail, the collective wisdom will prevail, and all will be well. And even if, as the session is not prorogued, so if the midterm session happens, I think that will pave the way, because I think ultimately Congress has also realized, and they must have got the feedback from the country, that it's not always good to be disruptionist this way and stopping the progress of the country, because that essentially means you are halting the progress of the country, which is on march.
Okay, that's great. Let's hope so. Let's talk about another very important issue as far as the national capital is concerned. It's not only about the parliament, the politics. It's also about pollution, air pollution. You've also said that the government, specifically your ministry, is going to launch a massive campaign to rid Delhi of this air pollution, specifically the NCR area.
All over the world, there is a problem of air pollution with rising number of vehicles. Even you must have read the London report that last year 9,500 people lost their lives due to air pollution. I was in Europe now and America. They are facing the problem of ozone. Some cities are facing problem of benzene. Some cities are... So all cities are facing air pollution problem. We are also. And this is happening for last 7-8 years. I always tell media that what they are doing now, last 1 year, as a campaign, I welcome that campaign, because that has suddenly created awareness about this. And that's a good thing. But if they would have started 6-7 years ago, even the earlier government would have taken some measures, and the situation would have been much better now. But okay, I take every challenge as an opportunity. And we made it a point, we studied. There are 4 reasons.
Okay.
First, the vehicle pollution. 2, the dust emanating from construction demolition and dust emanating from all our routine activities. The third is biomass burning and the stubble burning in and around Delhi. So we decided that we should not tackle it as a city problem, but as a not only NCR problem, but as a air shade problem. And the air shade includes part of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Ghaziabad and others is Uttar Pradesh. And so all the states were taken on board.
Yes,
all
yes.
the corporations were taken on board. And we had 3 meetings with ministers and all officials. They prepared first 3 months program, and we started. PM launched Air Quality Index. It's a comprehensive index, and it's a good index, which gives a comprehensive health, because today some papers are referring to one embassy data, which gives only PM 2.5 particulate matter. But what we are giving is a comprehensive picture on 8 parameters. That is first. We have also launching people's movement. People must observe lane discipline, they must maintain their vehicle, they must have PUC in time, they must not overspeed, they must avoid congested lanes, they must cooperate with the traffic authorities. And the major is the bypass, which was not coming for last 70 years of Delhi after independence. The bypass, which was essentially discussed for 40 years of it.
The KMP and
Now, Haryana government, the work has already started, and NHAI also given the contract, work has started. So this time it is happening for real. So in 2 years, non-destined vehicles won't be entering into Delhi. They want to prepone. So Petroleum Ministry and Transport Ministry are taking steps to prepone the vehicle norms and fuel norms so that there will be less pollution, less sulfur. Last but not least, stubble burning. We have asked, so Punjab, Haryana, others are giving subsidy for bale machines. So people are now collecting stubble and not burning. And second is some are registering FIR and made it a criminal offense. Last but not least, dust management. We have made the new construction demolition waste management rules, which are in draft stage, will be implemented from next month. So on all fronts, we take everybody, all corporations, all agencies involved. We took everybody along. We didn't indulge into blame game, and we went ahead with the action plan. And I can tell you, every day the health of air will improve.
Okay, there has been a blame game going on between the Delhi government and your ministry as far as air pollution is concerned.
No.
Before we slip into this break, Mr. Javadekar, as Environment Minister, are you satisfied with the steps being taken by the Delhi government, the state government of Delhi, to tackle this problem?
See, every state has decided action on industrial pollution, on water pollution, on dust management, on road cleaning, on not on sensitization of sweepers, not to burn biomass, to take action, not to have stubble burning. So every state is doing its action. Whether they are sufficient or not is a different issue. I am not going into that right now. We'll talk to each agency that you can do little more. You can do little more. But they have given 1 year's plan, which we have published now. And I'll give you a copy also, because that is what I believe in, collective action.
Okay, we'll continue this conversation with the Environment Minister, Prakash Javadekar. Let's take a short break here. Welcome back. Environment Minister, Mr. Prakash Javadekar is still with us. So continuing with your ministry, let's move on to another area which has been a focus area for both your government, your ministry, as well as the Prime Minister himself. That's the northeastern region. Though overall, the forest cover in the country has increased marginally, but there has been a decrease in 12 states and union territories as well. Out of those 12, 5 are the states from northeast. So is that a cause of concern for the environment?
See, there are two issues. There are northeastern states which are essentially a forest area. The average forest area is 75% and above. 80%, 90% is forest cover. So they are the beautiful place of India. It's a carbon sink. The issue is, but there is always a pressure growing because of population increase, because of requirements increase. So there will be some pressure on forest. But we are now taken up measures because every year we are doing satellite surveys. So we have stopped fires first. Effective tackling of fires is a major success of last 15 months because that fires have come down because of correct system of alert mechanism and immediate addressing the issue. Second is we are changing the quality of forest. We are releasing more funds for afforestation. 14th Finance Commission has given more weightage for more green cover. So 7.5%. That means 55,000 crore rupees over the next 4 years. And we are, through Campa bill, are unleashing 38,000 crore rupees. So it's in all nearly 90,000 crore rupees, which will go to the states. Northeastern states will also get much more. And they will, there is already a state-wise plan to improve the quality. And only 3-4 states, as you said, a marginal decrease. But even dense to moderately dense, I think that's a loss. That should not happen. And we are going to reverse the trend.
Okay, let's move to Himalayan region now. The ecology in the Himalayan region is also considered to be very sensitive. And you yourself admitted once again in the House that the developmental activities are taking a toll on the Himalayas and the ecology there. But there are a number of developmental activities which are still continuing. So what's the way out? Will there have to be a choice between development and environment?
The choice is sustainable development. You can have houses, you can have businesses, you can have factories also, but you can't put them in the riverbed. That's the minimum use. In the case of cloudburst, on the landslides, you know the prone sites, which you know must not occupy, because then you are always in perpetual danger. So, sustainable growth is the way out in Himalayan region. And we are taking new Himalayan initiatives. I am now calling all MPs and legislators from Himalayan states for a conference, and we are talking about a specific state-wise Himalayan strategy for a sustainable development.
Okay, there are two very important issues as well. One which deals with the climate change summit to be held in Paris in December. You've said repeatedly that a balanced agreement is something which the Indian government is in favor of. In short and in crisp, what is it that India plans to achieve from this particular summit, and how is it that we can achieve it?
I think Paris is a landmark, can become a landmark agreement if we make it simple. That in earlier Kyoto Protocol, few countries were expected to take actions and others were not. Now, realizing the danger of climate change and the challenge of climate change and its impacts, all countries have agreed for taking some kind of action. Some will take directly cutting their emissions, the developed ones. The developing countries' emission will grow, but they will have more balanced growth, that is increasing energy efficiency, reducing energy intensity of their development, and also newer and renewable energy mix to change. So all these factors, everybody has agreed. And science and technology is providing more and more options now. So I think when all countries decide on certain things, those pledges are important. And if that pledges brings in a new environment regime in the world, that should be a Paris hallmark. And therefore, I believe that Paris should succeed. And we are leading many developing countries, and we are also asking for justice, because the basic principle of common but differentiated responsibility or polluter to pay, that doesn't get solved. That doesn't go out of the scene. So, by maintaining the principles, we want to take lead.
Okay. Another very important issue is the proposed amendments to 6 major laws. Now, there was a high-level committee which was set up by your ministry under Mr. TSR's leadership, and that report was submitted within somewhere around 3 months or so. There are around 55 amendments which were suggested. But then there is a different view as well, and that view has come in from the standing committee, which is being led by Congress MP Ashwani Kumar. It is said that more time should be given. There are certain changes, certain proposals which should not be agreed to. So where do we stand now as far as these 6 laws are concerned? Because these are going to be very important amendments.
Yeah, but let us understand that TSR Subramaniam has done a remarkable job by giving us the basic thought process and basic amendment structures. So now everybody is discussing. It is not necessary that all should agree to all 55. We also don't agree. So there will be consensus. The standing committee is waiting that report, and we welcomed it. They should come out with their suggestions. They have actually come out with their suggestions. The issue is, we have already brought Campa Act, which everybody has welcomed, because we are giving money which were locked here in banks for afforestation to the states. So all have welcomed. Second bill we are ready with, and which will come is introducing civil penalties. If today it's a peculiar situation where the violation happens, so violation has to be treated with a criminal case, which is never decided. So in ground, nothing happens. You file a criminal case and then you can proceed on as business as usual. We are now going to change it through a law of civil penalties. So that's second act. The 6 laws, we engaged a very young, talented team of lawyers and environmental activists and environmental students. So we engaged professionals. And what we have done is, they have studied laws, environmental laws in 10 countries, which are relevant to India. So those comparative study we have done. We have done an assessment of what the law today is and what are the problems. And we have done the gap report also, that what is intended and what is not there in the laws. So now we have got all the 3 reports. Next 1 month, we'll decide what amendments we want to make actually. And then we'll go to the Parliament because Parliament is the supreme authority. One more important thing is, we value the standing committee and other committees' suggestion. We can incorporate as much as possible. The issue is, there was an issue of NEMA-SEMA, the National Environment Management Authority and State Environment Management Authority. I think there is some problem on this. We'll reach out to opposition, because what is the alternative? If we don't create an enforcement mechanism, today we are making rules and laws and there is nobody to enforce. Already Supreme Court has said that you must have a regulator. We have already NGT as a tribunal, but we must have regulator. That is the Supreme Court mandate. So we have a limited choice. Either you have a regulator and one person, which you don't know how he will behave, and you will have one regulator to rule the country, and at a state level, one person who will rule the state. If you want that option, that is also an option given by Supreme Court. Or you have a more democratic State Environment Management Authority, where there will be really representatives from the state, scientists, experts, and some representatives from center. What choice? Choice is Parliament's choice.
Okay, great. One last question before we wind this up. It is being said that when you became minister, you preferred to use the term reforestation rather than using diversion of forest land, because that's what it is being said in the official note when a project comes up for clearance for the environment ministry.
Because law says diversion. But when I studied every private project, or even earlier days, public, even state projects, when they are given approvals, that 100 hectares forest area, because mines are there only, so you have to dig there. So 100 hectares we give somebody, he gives us 100 hectares non-forest land. He purchases and gives us, that we add to the forest. This aspect of environment was not noticed at all. When we use word of diversion, it becomes a one-way process. Actually, it's a two-way process. And therefore, I've changed it for, in parlance, usual parlance, we are now saying approvals with proper environmental safeguards, and we are saying approvals and reforestation. So reforestation is the word which I coined, because that's how things happen, which are not reflected in the word diversion.
Okay, great. Let's hope this is being reflected in other clearances and projects and in future projects as well. Thank you so much for being with us. So this was Environment and Forest and Climate Change Minister Prakash Javadekar in a freewheeling conversation with us. We'll come back next week with a different personality. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.